Former executive turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Connie is ridiculously dedicated to inspiring individuals to activate their power and live their dream as a lifestyle entrepreneur. It's time to sit down, lie down, or squat down and turn up the volume. Up or Out with Connie starts right now.
Well, hi there. I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. And today, Dr. Marissa Slaven. She's been a palliative care physician for over 20 years. And she's soon publishing her first book. She's going to be an author of a young adult eco-thriller called Code Blue, which I found really interesting, Marissa. I could go on and on introducing you to our guests, but I really want to jump right into talking about your book and the excitement that you've had of discovering all of the years of your work in the science field that has had a creative side to you, and where you realize through your writing and having this book being published really changed the way you're looking at the sciences. So I'm really interested, and I would really love you to share that with our listeners.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for having me, Connie. I really enjoy this opportunity and the chance to speak with you. Yeah, so as you said, I've been a doctor for a long time now and thinking about that world and medical science for long before that. And, I was always a big time reader, and I think I just never thought that I could do creative writing, and I became very focused on medicine, and it takes a lot of work and time. And then I raised 3 kids, so that took a lot of work and time also. And one day we were driving a long drive, and I had a lot of time to think. And I started to think about the books that I had been reading, especially books I'd been reading with my daughter, who was a young teenager at that time. And a lot of these books were amazing. And I wish I had had books like that when I was young. And they were books with like strong female protagonist heroes who are out saving the world. And I thought that was awesome. But I thought, you know what? All these girls are like saving the world using their bravery and their shooting skills, and that's great. But I thought, where are the girls who are saving the world using their intelligence? Where are the geeky girls like I used to be? And I really wanted a girl like that in a book for my daughter. And I thought, well, if that's what I want, maybe I should try and write it. And that was kind of the beginning of a very novel idea for me that, if something is missing in the world and I feel that it should be there, maybe it's one of my possible roles is to try and put it out there. So I just started to think about it and what could the book be about. And I thought, well, if you were really smart, you could save the world from climate change. That would be... right?
Yeah.
That would be a good thing.
Right.
So then I had to go and learn all about climate change, which is completely different type of science than the science that I was used to in medical science. But I sort of self-taught, did a lot of reading, great books and great documentaries. And at the same time was learning how to do creative writing. And Connie, I can't tell you, when I started to write, it was like suddenly discovering my happy place. I mean, I think, I could sit down and write and hours would go by. And I was like, what, really? Like, I couldn't believe it. It just makes, even now, I mean, I'm working on other projects, but writing is my happiest space.
Now, you're the field that you're working in with the science, climate change. Now, your daughter's working and helping you with this project as well, correct?
She is, yeah. So I'm so excited. Some of my enthusiasm has caught on to her. She also is like me, like she likes science and she likes reading. But over Christmas, oh my God, she gave me the best Christmas gift you could ever want. So she's 16 years old. And as a Christmas gift, she put together a business plan for her and I to do a podcast together.
Wow, how incredible is that? I mean, the family that plays together stays together, but how you're sharing that with your daughter and how she's also caught on to that and has that same passion that you do, that's incredible.
It is. So every week we sit down for 20 or 30 minutes, the two of us, and we talk about something to do with climate change.
Okay.
So the podcast is Green Girl Talk, and it's focused around, things that a 16-year-old would be interested in, like movies and movie stars and makeup and clothes. But all of these things interact with climate change, right? Like there's nothing that doesn't. And we're having so much fun doing it. It's incredible.
How fun is that? And she could probably use that in school, like a school project or her senior project or something that she'll have coming up.
Yeah, well, she's thinking about maybe going into a media arts program in university, so it could be helpful for that. Yeah. And I mean, she does all the producing and the whatever of the podcast. I show up and talk, and she takes care of the rest.
That's the best thing to do with you for mom, right? Absolutely. That's the best way to go. But that's really incredible that you have that with our children.
Oh my gosh!
And sometimes we don't think that they're listening. Yeah. Because I have to brag, when you said you got the greatest gift for Christmas, I myself did too. Now, my daughter and son are in their early 30s, so they're older. They have their careers. I was a single mom, most of their youth.
Yeah.
And I mean, my son was 6 months old. My daughter was 3 years old when I became single.
Yeah.
So for all of those years, mom struggled going to school. I had 2 jobs at one point. I ran my family's restaurant and on and on. And I always had that guilt that I wasn't giving enough time to my kids.
Yeah.
And even when I went back to school, they would go to my classroom with me.
Yeah.
It was funny. And so for Christmas, just this year, because we weren't together at Christmas time this year. And my daughter's in one state, my son's in another state. They sent me a book, Maya Angelou, and all of Maya Angelou's writings.
Yeah.
And then they sent me a bracelet with a saying on it. She said she could, and she did.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God.
And I was like, so touched. And of course, I was sick at the time too, which made me even more emotional. And I went back to my daughter, and she didn't say from Stephanie and Michael until I read the bracelet. It's a gold bracelet with the charm on it.
Right.
It said, we love you.
Yeah.
And I went back to her. She goes, no, that's from both Michael and myself. We talked about it, and we thought that was perfect for who you are. And I said to her, and I said, why would you give me a gift like that?
Yeah.
And she said, why wouldn't we? She said, she goes, you are my best role model. And I talked to my son, and he basically said the same thing. Because I never really talked to them about the other programs that I do. Right. But they pay attention.
Yeah, it's the gift of being known by your children. That's incredible, right? And they see it's not what you say to them, it's what you do. It's your actions. Right. Like that's what kids see and follow and pay attention to.
Yeah. And my daughter and I last year, her husband's in the military, so he was gone. So we spent several weeks together. I went and stayed with her, and we drank a lot of wine and cried a lot. And because I did for a long time carry that guilt that I was like, my career is important and I had to do this and I had to do this. And a lot of it I was doing out of necessity to take care of my children. But I still had a lot of guilt that I wasn't there for them as much as, the stay-at-home mom. And she's like, no, Mom. She said, I don't know how you could have been any other way.
Yeah. Well, I think like you said, you may not have had much of a choice. I think some women feel like they do have a choice and they don't know what choice to make.
Yeah.
And I think, whatever the choice is that honors who you are,
right,
that's what your kids are going to see. When my kids were little, I worked part-time. When they got older, I worked more hours. I never stopped working, except for maternity leave.
Right.
But it wasn't financially I had to. It was because that's what I wanted to do. And I think whether I have sons as well, sons and daughters, they see, a woman needs to be true to herself, to follow her passion and her calling. And you can still be a wife and be a mother.
Right.
And be yourself.
And you don't have to carry all that guilt.
Oh, absolutely.
You just need to let that go. And the one thing that you've said is finding the balance and still honoring your happy, creative place.
Yeah, I think we all have all these different parts to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that creative place when we're younger gets stifled. Like, somebody might, oh, you're not very good at coloring or drawing, dear. Why don't you do something else? Or
stay inside the lines. Don't go outside the lines.
Right. Or how are you going to make a living doing that, right? Like that's another big thing. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think we all need to find a way to express ourselves. And it's different for everybody, right? It could be writing, music, art, whatever your way is, like let your voice shine.
Yes. And that's exactly it. And again, going back to the whole concept of woman who dares, to know that my own children had recognized that. And again, it's okay. It's okay, ladies. We could be a mom. We could be a wife. We can be a single mom and still go out. I mean, we know so many single moms. Lisa McDonald that we both know, and she is doing a fabulous job. Yep. It's a little hard work sometimes, but you know what? Everything's hard work if you truly want that.
And you can be a stay-at-home mom, and that's true to who you are, and that's awesome too. Like spend that time with your kids before they grow up, because Connie, right? They grow up so fast.
Oh gosh, they do. They're still your babies, though. They're still our babies. I think it's going to take that away. So finish these sentences for me, Marissa. Creativity is finding your voice and letting it out no matter what other people say. Imagination is
picturing the best and the worst and holding on to both.
Ooh, I like that. Really love that.
Yeah, we have to do a lot of that in palliative care, actually.
Yeah, you do. Well, what's that moment? What is that one moment in your life that had the greatest impact?
Oh, one moment that had the greatest impact. I can only pick one, Connie, really?
I know, we have so many.
Right, it's really hard.
And I hate the pictures that are gender bias, but women are always like, oh, I have a list. And yes, guy, it's like, I got it.
Right, they got it. All right. Okay. Well, off the top of my head, might think of something else later, but right now I'm going to say the one moment in my life that made the biggest difference to me was one winter's evening when we were living in New England. Mm-hmm. And at that time I had 2 little boys. And I said to my husband, we have to have a serious talk. We better get a wine or a beer and get the fire going. And he's like, uh-oh, what's going on?
This is serious.
Right? And so we sat down and the kids were asleep. And I said, there's something I need to talk to you about really seriously. And he's like, okay, what's going on? And I said, I've been thinking about this. And I think that I want to adopt a baby. Oh. And he said, really? So do I. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
I'm like, no, I'm being serious. Like, I want to do this. And he's like, yeah, I want to do that too. And I mean, that was a pivotal moment in so many ways. I mean, in my relationship with my husband, who I had already been married to for 12 years, but to just realize on something so big, we were on the same page. But B, it resulted in the adoption of my daughter, who's now 16, and just the balancing out and the completeness of our family.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. That is so beautiful. So as women and men, there's always that place of fear. So for you, where does fear come from?
Well, I think fear for me comes from the realization, again, the very realness of my work in palliative care, that like for every single one of us, me included, time is ticking. Right. And knowing that, I feel like there's so many things that I want to do and accomplish it's very hard for me sometimes to be in the moment just because I'm like, I know, but time's going to be up and I want to do this and this and this and this. And so when I think about fear, for me, that's kind of my biggest fear, is not having enough time to do all the things that I want to do in life.
Wow. Time is fear. Yeah, I think we get to that age. It's like, yes, but I still have all of these things on my checklist, on my to-do list. I got to do it.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we could all live multiple different lives and be happy, right?
Right. So how do we have this conversation around the equality of men and women?
Oh, that's a really good question and a really timely topic, actually, right? I mean, I think there's importance in recognizing that men and women are equal but different, right?
Right.
And so what makes sense to some people doesn't make sense to other people. And even in saying that, it just comes into my head. Of course, you and I are probably of a generation where there are two genders. Right. But right now there's a lot more than two genders.
There's
57 different genders on Tinder or something. And so, how are men and women equal? Well, how are all people equal, right? Yeah. Because there's also people of color and for sure, people of different economic levels. Right. And so how do we respect that equality in everybody? And to me, I think finding equality comes down to finding compassion. When you can find compassion for another person, if it's a man, a woman, a child, whatever their race, wherever they live, equality grows from that.
Yes.
So I think if we could nurture our sense of compassion to each other, and then let's spread it further. Let's nurture our compassion to animals and to other living things in the world too, right?
I love that because it really comes down to it's not a gender issue. It's culture. It's like you said, the economic differences, the color differences of our skin. I mean, it just it doesn't matter. I spoke to a woman earlier who is in a wheelchair and has polio, and she's a Black woman.
Yeah.
And she said, I never knew that. She goes, I knew I was a child of polio. She goes, I never knew I was a Black woman. I was considered and I think that's where we need to be. You recognize a person for who they are and where they're at. I can't go to Target without giving somebody money in the front door. My husband's like, just keep walking. Stop looking over there. Just keep walking.
Right.
There's like this field and stuff there. So it's kind of like, a lot of them congregate there. So
yeah,
it's sad.
Well,
I mean,
it is. There's so much suffering, and you don't have to look far to see it.
No.
So, even help the person in front of you, help the person right next to you, even in whatever little way you can.
Right.
You don't know, you think, well, my little bit, what difference is that going to make? Well, we don't know the ripple effect of what we do. Your little bit might be the thing that really makes a difference.
Yeah. There was I digress now. There was a young woman there recently and sitting, and you could tell she's ripped and torn, and she was crying, and she said, do you have any money? And I'm like, my husband's like trying to drag me away. And I was like, I looked at her. I said, how old are you?
Yeah. Wow.
And she said, I'm 7. She was 17.
Yeah.
And I said, why are you sitting here? And I know that the biggest challenge, one thing that I do see here in the LA area, there's a lot of homeless, but you also have the foster agencies where the kids age out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was 17 and she was from Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And she was here because she came to help her sister, and her sister was killed the week before at a drug deal by their home. And I remember seeing it in the paper. So she was trying to collect money because she wanted to go back to Texas to be with her own daughter, who was in Texas, a 2-year-old daughter she had. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to take you to the bus station and I'm going to put you on the bus.
Wow. Yeah, but you see that's it, right? Compassion. It's an imagination. It's like you don't necessarily know everybody's story, but in that case she was open to sharing her story with you.
Right.
But there's got to be compassion for how did this person get here? What in their life led them? And how do I know I'm so different or my own child is so different? That could be my child sitting there, right?
Well, yeah, and actually I have a cousin in Kentucky who does live on the streets.
Yeah.
He got addicted on drugs many years ago. We've tried pulling him off many times. The family, we've done a lot of things, but that's just all he knows. And, now it's just a mental sickness for him. And, we just can't get him off the streets. So again, I don't know why people are there. And I always think of him when I see somebody homeless because,
right.
I've seen him. I've gone to the bridge and to find him. It's like, but you need to be there. So anyway, we digress.
Okay.
So what is your truth, your North Star that guides your way of life and keeps you going?
That's an easy one. My truth is that I am here on this earth in this life to help other people. And it may be my family, it may be my patients or my colleagues. It may be people who I help by spreading a positive message about climate change and helping people to feel empowered about that because climate change affects people all around us. They might not be my next door neighbor or it might be, but it's another way of helping people is through doing that. So I feel anytime that I can do anything to help someone, that's my purpose.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. So that's all we have for today. But before we close, if you have any closing remarks, and also let our listeners know how they can find you.
Absolutely. So I'm super excited that my book is being published. It's going to be launched on Earth Day, which is April 18th. No, it's not. It's April 22nd, 2018. Sorry. And you'll be able to get it on Amazon. I'd say that's probably the best way to get it is on Amazon. I have a very small but awesome publisher called Moonwillow Press. You can find me. I have a website, marissaslaven.com. My daughter and I have our podcast called Green Girl Talk. It's on iTunes and SoundCloud. I have a Facebook page, Marissa Slaven Author. And I'm on
the name of your book.
The name of the book is Code Blue. Yes. Code Blue, is medical when your heart stops and they try and resuscitate you, right? Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like climate change, we're at that point. It could go either way. And so it's time to call Code Blue and get to work on this.
Very, very timely as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Marissa, I'm so thrilled that you've been here.
Thank you so much, Connie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening to Up or Out with Connie. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest, email the team at bookme@uporout.com. Learn how you can activate your power at activatemypower.com. We'll see you over there. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.